Hey, Bryant. Welcome back to Stateside Market Report with Brian and Tim. Version
Thanks,
2,
Tim.
week
Yeah,
2.
second episode. How you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Not too bad. Kind of cloudy day here in Virginia.
We're supposed to get snow, but we didn't.
Mm.
A little disappointed.
It's supposed to get cold this weekend too.
Yeah, we'll see. So now that we bored you with our small talk weather forecast that we don't know anything about, let's talk real estate, Bryant. So I think tomorrow, I think the Fed is going to talk, and experts are saying that are much smarter than us. They are most likely going to raise it 25 basis points. So I think what we should do today is talk a little bit about what that typically means for the real estate market, for mortgage interest rates, how that can affect our buyers and sellers, and kind of what we're seeing in the market this week. We went over numbers last week in terms of Q4 of 2021 to Q4 of 2022. It's obviously only been 1 week. So I think it's kind of, we don't want to talk about days on market over the past week and stuff like that. Let's kind of keep it higher level and just see how that affects our buyers. So 25 basis point raise of the interest rate by the Fed tomorrow. What does that typically mean for mortgage interest rates that we're seeing this year?
So it depends. Sometimes the lending companies will actually have that impact already built into the interest rate prices. Sometimes they don't anticipate it as well, and it all depends on what the bond market is doing and interest rates to follow. So typically, we'll see, even though they raise up, what is it, 0.25 is what they're
Yep.
predicted.
Yep.
Sometimes that'll actually make interest rates drop a little bit. There'll be a little window where interest rates drop as the market kind of figures itself out. Then again, sometimes, I think the last time they did the interest rate, they did the 0.25 basis points, it actually raised the interest rates up a little bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what that means to us is you know it's it's hard to say a lot of the times, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's not always doom and gloom is what at the end of the day, it's not always doom and gloom, right?
Right. Yeah, and I think what you said is really important. Mortgage companies, lenders are looking at the market much more closely than we are as realtors and just investors ourselves. So they are seeing, projecting future trends. So for instance, and again, not lenders, but if they had projected that, the Fed's going to raise it by 75 basis points or 0.75, and they only raise it by 0.25, that's good for the lending industry, and it could actually dip for a couple of days. Um, Looking at a macro scale, what we're seeing is that the Fed is starting to get inflation under control, which has been the intention of raising these rates for the whole year.
Yep.
It's still high, but it's going, steadily down over the past 4 or so months. So things are just starting to even out. It's the same thing we talked about last week. What we're seeing in the market in terms of what our buyers and sellers are doing is just a little bit, I want to say normalcy, but in Northern Virginia, it's turning into a bidding war again. So the good ones are going fast. We're seeing the houses that are really well done, turnkey, very little repairs needed, renovations. They are getting 9, 10, 11, 12 offers. People are bidding over again, just like it was, a year ago, which has really come out of the blue. Like people are kind of shaking off the,
Very
New York
surprised by it.
offers.
Very
Yeah.
surprised.
It's out of nowhere. So I think that, for all those folks that have always been saying, well, we're just going to wait till the market gets normal again, it's approaching that. And we're getting back to the point where there's a lot of pent up demand, people that wanted to buy and couldn't, or didn't, or changed their minds because they couldn't afford the house they wanted to at 7% that they could have at 5.5%, are starting to say, okay, this is normal now. I'm getting used to the 6.5%, the 7%. They've adjusted their spending and speculation in terms of like how they can approach their financial picture. And they're saying, we still need a new house. We still need a bigger house. We still want a backyard. We still want to be in this school district. I think that's the thing with real estate in terms of primary residence buyers, not necessarily investors, is that things still happen in life where you want to move. You want to live in a different place. Divorce happens, death
Mm-hmm.
happens, all kinds of things happen. You get orders to come back home, like you're going overseas. Like things happen outside of your control. You still need a place to live. Demand is still there. So I think, we're starting to see some normalization, some sense of sanity return to the market. But just as we see that, we see 12 offers again. So what do you make of all that?
Yeah, and I think from the buyer side, obviously very important, right? People are sick of sitting on the sidelines. People need to make decisions. They need to move. People need to get in the houses. But also think of it from the seller's point of view. All these sellers are starting to come to terms with this isn't the market it was in June 2022. They're not going to get, if they think their house is worth 800,000, but a real estate agent comes in and tells them it's 750,000, they don't want to listen. They put it on the market for 800,000. It sits there and sits there and sits there.
Yep.
So as buyers are coming back into the market, also on the other end, sellers are starting to get realistic about their housing price. And I think that working together is having a huge impact on the current situation right now. Multiple offers. We're seeing, a house in Fairfax that had 12 offers. There was, I think it was a condo, had like 9 offers, all over asking price, waiving contingencies. So the market's getting crazy. I did notice the numbers for Northern Virginia, compared to last week, went down a little bit. And I think that's, as in terms of new closed sales, but new purchase contracts are up, showings are up. So as those numbers increase, we'll kind of see that wave come in a few weeks when people are under contract. It takes a while to get it to closing table, right? So, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's picking up out there.
It is picking up. And I think, it is, like I said, the good ones are going really fast. The ones people are starting to get back into the mindset of they want the house to be done. They want it to have the new finishes, they want it to look good, they want it to be upgraded. On the investor side, we are seeing some deals that still cash flow. So we are seeing deals in mainly PG County a little bit. I'm starting to see some in Southern Maryland where the numbers work again, which is awesome. Indian Head, Waldorf. So any investors out there, give us a call. We do have some things. We'll probably be putting out an investor list here soon for our subscribers. They're still few and far between. I mean, it's not, easy pickings like it was last year. It's you have to work for it. You have to really scour. Some of these, if you are willing to put in a little elbow grease and put in a little cash up front to get them ready, like you're going to see higher profits. But that's not everyone's strategy. So we're constantly trying to look for things that are going to work for investors, as well as, keeping our primary buyers in the loop in terms of this increasingly hot market.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think, it's going to be an interesting week. It's going to be interesting to see what the Fed says and how that affects rates. If it is a quick dip, if you're someone that's looking right now or under contract, it might be a good time to lock if you take that quick dip. So talk to your lender about that and what they're seeing, because they know way more than me and Bryant. But strategically speaking, I say, it's a good time to be looking as a buyer. As a listing agent, we sometimes come off as the enemy because we're like, it's not worth 1.2 million anymore. Like we'll try for
Right.
1050. So yeah, it's it's a transitional time. We've been on this roller coaster, like up the hill through last summer and then just kind of plummeted. And now we're kind of like going back up again. So it's nothing abnormal. It just happened really quick after, the first of the year. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. We're getting out of the holiday season. We're getting into, February, which historically is when we see things start to pick up, especially come March, April. I mean, at this rate, what we're seeing right now, we're looking at a pretty crazy spring,
yeah.
and summer. So if interest rates continue where they're going, which they seem to be, because inflation data keeps coming in the lower. So
Mhm.
as long as inflation data keeps coming lower, interest rates are going to go lower. It's just
Yep.
that's what inflation rates do. With they follow inflation. So
Yep.
so
Yeah. So I think that's good. That's a good little bite-sized chunk of information. I hope it helps you folks that have smashed that subscribe. I swear to God, that's the last time I'm gonna say it. I hate it so much. Like, that I'm making a joke. I don't know if everyone else knows that I hate that phrase, but I wanted to say it because like,
it's
why do
what
you
the
say
kids
that?
say. It's
It's
what
what
they
the
say.
kids say. I'm not a kid. I'm obviously an old man.
Mm-hmm.
But we're getting into our rhythm here. Hopefully, being able to provide real time information on a weekly basis on Tuesdays. So please do subscribe, share it with friends. Past clients, future clients. Let us know what information you want to hear. We will take suggestions. Our emails if you're subscribing, and if you want to hear us talk about certain subjects, we're happy to do that. Again, this is the beginning of our experiment of the market update, and we are open to suggestions and providing the
Absolutely.
information people want to hear. So until next time, next week, we'll see you again on the Stateside Market Report with Brian and Tim. Have a
All
good
right.
week.
Thanks, guys.